Okay, welcome back. Today we're gonna be a little bit more straightforward because you're starting to be a little bit more advanced. Um, First, I will show you a multi-layer displacement, and then I'm gonna show you the technique I talked about last class. And in the end, I'm gonna show you a small lenticular effect, and that will also include a little bit of hard surface modeling. So let's start with a cone. Now we add subdivision surface onto displacement, new texture. I'm gonna use this one from last class. Another subdivision, another displacement. And a third subdivision. It seems maybe a little bit high, but we are all keeping them low, and yeah, you will see that in a second. So next thing we're gonna do is add two empties. I'm gonna call them 1 and 2. We're gonna reduce the strength on both of them. Here we use the first empty. Here we use the second one. And now we can use them to get some more detail if desired. Yeah, let's go with this. And let's see how it's different when we remove some of the subdivisions. And you see they're kind of crucial to get a really interesting form. And the first two, keep them really low. You can even go to 1. And the last one you can maybe crank up to 3 depending on the power of your computer. Okay. Now we're gonna add a cube. Scale it down on the z-axis, so press S and Z. Make it really thin like this. Next thing we're adding is area light. Also scale this up. And then rotate around the x-axis, so Rx by 180 degrees, so it's facing upwards. Grab it and move it down a little bit, like this. And with this still selected, we're gonna choose our plane or box, hit Ctrl P and add the parent. So now if we move this, it's staying with us. Let's make the world black, and we can start shading. First this one. We're adding a glass shader here. And now let's go to this one. Going for image texture, open this. We didn't use this one. And then you hit Control T. Remember, this only works if you enable the node wrangler in the preference. And we're going to choose generated. Very nice. And I have 200 frames, like always. And this is a little bit weird, but if I move this up, it's not working, but yeah, like, of course you have to activate auto refresh, but it's still not working upwards, as you see. And if you move it down, you can actually control this. Let's leave it on 1 for now. So we're going into cycles, and we're having a first look. Kind of interesting, but a little bit weird with the plane, right? So select the plane, go into visibility, and under ray visibility, you uncheck the camera. This only works if you're in cycles, not in Eevee. So we're gonna have a look again. And we get this kind of reflection up here. Let's select the cube and move it down. And you can see like we're having different effects. Yeah, here. So what's happening is we have that plane with the image on it, and we are having a strong light facing directly at it, so all the reflections of that plane are getting refracted inside the glass. So the next step we can do to make this more interesting is we go to transmission and pull it up to 1. And now you see, now the plane is also transparent and the light goes through it. So the interesting effect is on the other side. And let's play a little bit with this. Actually, I think I want this one because it's having more detail. Yeah, cool. So the problem is you're quite limited in the angle, which is interesting because you always need to directly face the plane, because otherwise you're having these white edges and you can see a lot from the back. But there's a workaround. So we're going on the plane, constraints, track to, and we're tracking it to the camera. Yeah, I was tracking in the wrong direction, so we're just do it like this. And now if I press N, view, camera to view, if I move this around, the plane will always face me. Of course you can always like scale it, or grab it and shift it, for example, on the Z-axis. So this is our basic technique. Let's find a good angle. Okay, we're frozen right here. Let's give it a second. I want to render a square. Also, one thing which is affecting your result a lot is how deep that plane is in the object. So if you move it back, it will have completely different result. One more thing. If you have your animated texture here, like if you use the technique with the animated texture to find a nice form, like animated displacement texture, and you find a really nice shape you want to keep, like you don't want to care about all the displacement stuff, and that cases you just have to apply everything. And the rule for this is you start at the top. So like I apply the subdivision, displacement, and so on. One small correction, like I just showed you how to apply the modifiers to turn this into a static object. But instead of applying all the modifiers, you can actually just go right click and convert to mesh. And if you do that, you can actually go to this, and then you could have this animated. So one more thing for the few people of you who have a graphics card. I actually didn't know this myself until August told me last week. You actually have to go to preference system, and then you have to check, like normally it's here, and then you choose CUDA or OptiX, probably CUDA because OptiX is only working with the RTX graphics card from NVIDIA. So yeah, you actually have to take this and choose it. And let me show you what kind of speed difference it's making. If I'm on CPU compute and I render it, let's see, we have like roughly 1 sample per second. Let's stop this. Also, here you can see very well, I completely forgot to shade smooth. Let's do this, shade smooth. Always make sure like your viewport and render settings are matching up everywhere. Maybe even go a little bit higher with the render settings. So now we're going to GPU compute, render the same image again. And we have roughly 10 to 20 samples a second. So quite a difference. So I looked it up, and what we're gonna do now is actually not the lenticular lens, but yeah, just a glass refraction. But maybe we can do lenticular next week. So we're gonna start working in the edit mode. We were always in the object mode, and if you hit tab, you come to the edit mode. You can also like activate it up here. And we have 3 modes. We have the vertex mode, where we can select single vertices. We have edge mode to select edges, and face mode. And if you have a keyboard with a numpad, you can use the numbers 1, 2, and 3. Not the 1, 2, 3 on the numpad, but over your regular keys. Yeah, you can use them to switch in between. So we want to make this a triangle with a follow. So pre-selecting these 2 vertices, in the vertex select mode, press delete, and we want to delete the vertices. Now we change up here to the edge mode. We select this and this edge and press F to fill. Now you have to choose these, press F again, and same thing over here, fill. Now I'm gonna go to face and pressing G and G and G and X. Yes, like this, perfect. And next thing we're gonna do is add an array modifier. We want to extrude along the y-axis, so put this on 0, this on 1. Perfect. One more thing. Select this face down here. And now you don't press G for grab, but E for extrude. And if it's not scaling on the z-axis by default, you have to press C. It's sometimes different. So we just want a little bit here, because otherwise the refraction in this area is going to be weird. So we're giving it a little bit more flash. What next? There we could import a plane, like this is going to be our glass object and we're going to put a picture under it, and this is going to distort the picture. So we could add the plane and then add the image texture and so on. But when you go to preference, add on, and you press image, there is this add-on import images as planes. So you want to activate this, and then we're gonna add the image as a plane. And what are we gonna use? Let's take this. He's frozen. Let's wait a second. Weird. Okay. We want to rotate this image on the y-axis, so R, Y, and then 90 degrees. Okay, cool. So let's grab this, bring it up, scale this one up, and let's go to the top view. You can get these orthogonal views by clicking this, or if you have a numpad, it's also working like this. And we're trying to do this more or less centered. And instead of repositioning this camera, we're just gonna add a new camera. Put this to 0 and bring it up on the z-axis. Make it a square. So far, so good. I'm gonna add the area light, scale it up, and place it. So our image plane, we didn't touch it, so it's exactly on this axis. And this is our refraction, and in between we have the light, and the light is shining on the plane, so we're not having the reflections of the light on the glass. Actually, let's add our materials so we see some results. And of course, this only works in cycles. So we have this really interesting distorted look right now. Let's delete our default light and let's bring this up to 150 maybe. Alright, how can we control this look? Let's do it another way. Like if I go down here, so I have to cross, I can pull up another window. And here I'm pressing Z, rendered, so I have a render view in this window. And over here we're gonna do the modeling. Yeah, we're in the edit mode and I want edges. I select this upper edge and I press G and Z, and you can see this is making already a lot of difference. Another thing we can do is select this and scale it on the y-axis, so make this much shorter. Let's go here and increase these a lot. Bring it in the middle. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna duplicate this. So Control D, no, Shift D, and then GZ to bring it up. And now would be cool to rotate this. So we press rotate around the Z axis and we see it's rotating about this corner, but we want to rotate it in the middle. So what we are doing is we are applying this modifier and then we go to object, set origin, orange geometry. And now the origin is right in the center of the geometry, which is the center of the whole mesh, our whole scene, I mean. And let's make this a little bit brighter. So, two more things. This technique works not very well with objects you put under that refraction glass. Like, yeah, it basically works best if you put the image plane under it. And maybe you think right now, okay, this is compared to the other approaches I showed you before, like a little bit stupid maybe. But this should be a motivation to you to think of like optical effects you can observe in the world around you and think of a way to recreate them in 3D, because basically everything you can think of there is a way to recreate in 3D, and most of the times it's not even that hard. So Let me know next week if you're interested in a little bit more hard surface modeling, and have fun learning.